Good morning, Cougars. Happy Friday, May 1st, 2020. Special day, actually special day in the Martinez house. It's my son's birthday. He turns 25 today, May Day Martinez. So we hope that everybody has a wonderful day. Should be a great Friday and a wonderful weekend. Boys, you ready for the flag salute?
Yeah.
All right, let me cue it up for you there, Jake. Take it away.
Put your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you, Jake. Good morning, fellas. Happy Friday, everyone. We want to remind you this morning that we have our first spelling bee today. It's for third grade, starts at 3 o'clock. In my morning email that I send out to all your parents, I'll have the login information for everybody that wants to log in and see. And then for our third graders competing, there'll be a special information there in the morning email for you at what time we are going to need you to log in so that you're set. Jake, I'm going to give you a spelling word. We've been doing this all week. Superintendent. Today, our special guest is Superintendent Andres Chait. Superintendent. Spell that for us, Jake.
All right. Superintendent. S-U-P-E-R-I-N-T-E-N-D-E-N-T. Superintendent.
Excellent. Great job. So we wish everybody that is going to be in the spelling bee today all the best in that competition. Speaking of superintendent, we are bringing in our special guest for this Friday. It's Superintendent Andres Chait. Good morning, Superintendent. How are you?
Good morning, Principal Martinez. Good. How are you?
I'm great. This is in the bow tie is our student body president. That is Jake there. Jake, say hello.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jake.
And then also joining us is our vice president. That's Vice President Bentley there.
Hello. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bentley.
Before we get started with the interview, let me tell everybody that's watching this morning a little bit about our superintendent. He is a former kindergarten teacher. You know, I've got 9 kindergarten teachers on my staff, so I know they're going to love to hear that. He also was an assistant principal at Noble Elementary, I believe, and I think that's where we probably first met because I was at Langdon, which was very close to Noble. He was a principal at 2 schools. He was at Chase Elementary and Alta, California. He worked in staff relations for a number of years where I worked closely with him there. He was, for the last, 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, the administrator of operations for our local district. And then in February of this year, just a couple of months ago, he was named superintendent of our local district here in Northeast. He has twin girls. And 2 things that I have in common with him: his wife is a teacher also, and he is an avid Lakers fan. If you look at our student body president, Jake, Jake, tell us about your bow tie.
It's Clippers bow tie, so I'm sorry about that.
You know, Jake, I did notice that. Principal Martinez sent me a sort of a demo tape of the interview that you guys did with his mom, which I thought was great. And I couldn't help but notice all the Clipper gear in your room. I was like, oh dear. But no, Clippers are great too. Kawhi Leonard is a great player. You've got a good squad too. So kudos to you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Bentley, we'll let you take it away and you can start our interview.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chait.
Hey, good morning.
Our first question is, what are your main responsibilities as a district superintendent?
Sure. So my number one job is basically to support schools. So for example, whether it's principals, teachers, students, if there's anything that we can do to help schools, we're in charge of that. So for example, right now with our current situation, obviously our number one thing is making sure that instruction is going on at home. So if teachers need training or resources, or schools need it, if kids need computers, we've had a lot of kids that say, you know, I have a computer, but I don't have a good internet connection. So one of our jobs is to get out the hotspots and all those kinds of connections. So really, it's just to be as helpful to schools as we can.
Okay, yes, that is a big but awesome responsibility. Our second question is, why is it called superintendent?
Okay, this is a good one, right? So I'll let you in on a little secret. Principal Martinez sent me the questions in advance. I don't want you to think that I just know this off the top of my head. So I did a little Google search, and it's from the Latin. It's from the 16th century, and it means one who oversees. So basically, when you're a superintendent, you're overseeing, you're helping in this case, 122 schools out here in the Northeast Valley.
Okay.
All right. How do you manage all the schools, especially with COVID-19?
Sure. So it really comes down to having a good team. It's just like with Principal Martinez at Carpenter. He relies on his awesome teachers to help the kids out, and then he helps the teachers. So for example, I have a team of what are called directors. They're the folks that help the principals. I have another team called the operations coordinators. They help schools when they need, for example, when I was talking to Bentley earlier about computers and hotspots. So it's really about having a really good, solid team of helpers.
Okay, our fourth question is, can you tell us what school might look like next year?
Sure. So this is obviously the question that's on all of our minds. You know, as Principal Martinez shared earlier, I am the proud father of twin 5-year-old girls. They will be starting kindergarten in August. So my wife and I are very interested to find out what that's going to look like for them. I think you can anticipate a lot of the things that you see now in terms of, for example, like social distancing, right? Smaller groups of people. So for example, Joe, Principal Martinez, how many recesses do you have at Carpenter right now? How many recess periods?
Well, we have 3 recess periods plus 2 different kindergarten recess periods. So
Gotcha.
a total of 5.
So you might see, for example, for the grades 1 through 5, instead of 3 recess periods, you might see 4 or 5 recess periods so that you have fewer kids out on the yard. It might be where, you know what, 5th grade, only 10 kids per area to limit that. Same thing with lunches. You might see where we have more lunch periods or lunch time so that there's fewer kids waiting, fewer kids in one big space. In your classrooms, you might see that your desks are further apart so that kids are, you know, safer in that way. And I think it goes without saying, you'll see even more cleaning than what already happens. Lots of surfaces getting cleaned more often during the school day.
Okay. Jake?
All right. So the 5th question. In the fall, will LAU's these schools have smaller class sizes and staggered drop-off/recess timing and effort to like social distancing?
So right now we're all, you know, obviously working on that. We're looking at different scenarios. A lot of this comes down, Jake and Bentley, to what the city, the county, the state tell us is okay. So for example, Governor Newsom talked about a 4-phase plan for kind of reopening the state. Right now we're in phase 1. So depending on where we are in August, that will determine what school will look like. But you could, you know, like I was saying earlier to Bentley's question, you could probably picture that in your classroom. I mean, I know you guys are 5th graders, right? So you'll be in 6th grade. You can picture that there will be fewer students in your actual classrooms.
Okay, our 7th question is, I heard that school may start again in July, so does that mean we will not get a summer break?
So I know that Governor Newsom a couple of days ago did share that he thought school could start in July or August. As of right now, the district is still planning for summer school in July. And as far as our start date, we're still looking at August. But again, I want to say that we take all of that with a grain of salt because it all has to do with what our public health folks tell us is okay.
Okay.
All right. The 8th question. Do you think some Carpenter students will be reassigned to other less crowded schools in the fall?
No, none of the planning that the district is doing would involve kids going from one school to a different school.
Okay, I was surprised at that last one. I thought it was going to be the opposite of that. So our last question is, did you have a favorite toy or stuffed animal as a little boy?
Okay, now we get to the hard-hitting questions. All right, all right. Well, I am even now a huge Batman fan. I always have been, all the way back to as far as I can remember. So when I was a kid, I used to go everywhere with this one Batman action figure. It was about a foot tall. I used it so much, it was missing a glove, the knee was broken, the face was scratched up, but I wouldn't go anywhere without that darn Batman action figure. So that was probably my all-time favorite toy.
Okay, that is funny.
Great job, guys. Listen, I just wanted to close out that interview, Superintendent Chait. I just want to say that some of the things that I appreciate you the most are how responsive you are to your staff. If any of us, and I speak for all principals in our area when I say this, that if we need your assistance, you quickly make sure that you address the concern and you assist us in finding a solution to whatever problem we're all facing. I think that you're an excellent communicator. Even the short time that you've been our superintendent, you've been extremely transparent. You give regular updates and communication to all of us so that we all do feel like we're looped in and we know what's going on. And then finally, the last thing I appreciate is your sense of humor. You always find a way to put some humor into the messaging that you have. It softens the message and really makes you more relatable, and it's easier for all of us to digest the information that way. So thank you very much for being our special guest today.
Well, thank you, Principal Martinez. And I do want to say that you may know, kids, but today is Principal Appreciation Day, Friday, May 1st. So if you guys will join me in, and again, remember, I'm a kindergarten teacher at heart. If you'll join me in a round of applause for Principal Martinez today on Principal Appreciation Day.
Wow,
and to all of our
thank you.
principals out here.
Thank you very much.
And next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So be on the lookout. The local district will be doing many, many things. And if I know Carpenter and I know Principal Martinez, I have a feeling he's got a few tricks up his sleeve for that.
So since you brought that up, let's talk about, so Carpenter does do things a little bit differently. We are actually celebrating Teacher Appreciation the week after.
Okay.
We traditionally make a big production out of our teacher, and we
Awesome.
actually, at our school, it's Staff Appreciation Week.
Right
so
on.
it is the week after everyone else is going to be celebrated. So all my teachers
Perfect.
watching, don't worry, we've got something big planned for you.
Well, great.
Also,
thank you.
let me say, also something that we have big planned is that tomorrow night would have been our annual gala. That is really the biggest night of the year for Carpenter. Obviously, with school being closed, that event was canceled this year, but it was going to be an 80s theme. And I'm going back on Instagram tomorrow night, 7 to 8, and we're going to be playing all 80s jams. DJ 88 is going to be supplying the music. We're going to be coming live from my kitchen from 7 to 8. And I will be emailing, again, a reminder to our whole community to join me for some 80s dancing tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Superintendent Chait, one thing we always close with is the words of wisdom. Boys, are you ready for the words of wisdom?
Yeah.
All right. So Gandhi, boys and girls, is a national hero of India. He was a national hero of India. He was a man who made a huge difference in the world by teaching that being violent is not the best way to solve our differences. Gandhi was a role model for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who also taught nonviolence. In other words, what Gandhi said and did affected the life of Dr. King in a positive way.
Did you know that you don't have to be a world famous hero to affect someone else's life? In fact, you don't even have to be an adult, no matter what your age.
You can be a positive role model.
That's right. Being a positive role model just means that you set a good example for others to follow. Today, be a positive role model by helping a younger student or setting a good example for your classmates or choosing to do the right thing even when it's hard to do.
With something to think about, this is Mr. Martinez.
And Bentley.
And Jake.
And Superintendent Chait.
Make it a great day.
Or not.
The choice is yours. Superintendent Chait, thank you for joining us this morning. Jake and Bentley, great job as always. All our students watching this morning, have a great day. Attack your schoolwork like you never have before. And we'll see you back on Monday morning for the announcements. And actually, I'll see you tomorrow night dancing 7 to 8 on Instagram. Guys, have a great day today.
Bye.